the cylinder head on my T150V was actually used on the previous engine that was in there, which was effectively a Bitzer engine, made up from parts I had laying around. While it ran, it was never particularly good, and it had a couple of oil leaks that I couldn't cure, so that engine has to come apart and be rebuilt properly this time, hopefully. And I'm going to reuse this cylinder head. I have the one that is going to go on to potentially onto the Bitzer engine, or I have a effectively a Meccano kit, which is a T150V engine that needs some cylinder head work. It's got a valve guide and exhaust seat completely missing, and the other valve guides are particularly worn, so I'm going to potentially send that off to somebody to have it reworked. In the meantime, I'm going to use this head. I have cleaned it up a little bit. There is still some residue. You can see that potentially see that the valves were polished, and I tend to polish the inside of these because it helps resist the build-up of carbon. So the idea is to strip it down. I have a valve spring compressor. This is a new one to me, as the old one effectively fell apart. I've tried various ones, the ones that clamp on and other ones, and I find that these sorts work best for me. So I'm going to take the inlet manifolds off. I've loosened them already, and I'm going to put these in the vibratory tank to clean them up, and then I'll replace these parts. And then I'm going to take the valve guides out. If I can get this apart. There we go. Stick in. I have new gaskets, and there is, oh, there's not one on here. There is a insulation washer made of Paxilin or that type of material that would normally be on here, that actually insulates the carbs a little bit, and provides perhaps a little better sealing, although it's got a gasket either side of it, so I'm not convinced by that. I do have some new ones of those, so I'll put those on. It's interesting, there's not one on here. There's not. Right, okay. So let me go and get these out of the way and get this gasket off, and I'll be back. The extra tools that I use when working on the valves is a magnet on a stick that I can use to pick up the tappets, and a thin end screwdriver that I can push them around with. I have a prepared box with cutouts in it to take the valves, because they're going to go back in the same hole, and they're numbered. Number 1 from the left hand side of the motor as you sit on it. So here we go. We'll start with the inlets, because this stands up quite nicely. Position it such that we can get to both sides, and we have the wider cup goes onto the top, and then we're using a cup the other side rather than a pad. this up. Well, that's interesting, that one doesn't have a hole in it. Let's bring this back down. Bring this one down. Bring this one in. Okay. I use that. Squidgy bar. Out the way. Okay. So I've got this central. Now we're just going to wire this in. It sometimes takes a little tap to release the collets. Let me go and do that. Get a hat. So with a little tap on the end, I have to go round the camera to get to this. And although you possibly can't see it, I actually have the tappets loose in the spring retaining cap. So we just wind this in now until they become loose, and then we'll be able to poke out them and take them out. Yeah. I find it expedient to actually lean the valve spring compressor this way and that to actually give me a clearance. That one needs pushing down a little bit. There we go, got it. It's a matter of holding it correctly. Right, let me find something to put those cotter holders in, and we'll look at the valve. I have not found it necessary to keep the cotters with the valve cap. I'm sure other people have a different opinion, but I've not had an issue yet. Now we'll release the valve spring, and I'm not sure whether I want the Tommy bar at the other end. I'll change that over and have a go with that. Right, okay. So now we will take the valve cap and spring off. There we go. And that is, so that is number 1. So we'll put that with number 1. Because we have a valve stem seal, which was there we go. And this is still quite flexible. I will probably not reuse it, but I might. That's interesting. It's very tight. Okay, so there's a very slight burr just around that. The valve stem is oily, which is good. There's not a lot of carbon build-up on the back of the valve, and the valve seat, oh, that's oil. The valve seat looks very good. And we'll just have a look at, oh, sorry, the edge of the valve looks very good. Have a look at the valve seat. Zoom in a bit on that. Okay, again, the valve seat looks to be in good condition, which is encouraging. It is a little pocketed, and that means that the valve has receded on the seat, so there is some shroud into the cylinder, and that ideally would need to be cut back to allow the gases past the valve and into the chamber easily. I must admit I don't plan to do that at this point. Well, remember that number 1, I have put little crosses, cut crosses in these, so the valve sits in easily. In fact, I'm going to sit this like that. Not sure what to do about those. Interesting. I actually have tightened up the valve spring compressor and had it laying down so it's easier to get at the bar drive end, and tap the other end, and the 2 collets, I'm sorry I called them cotters earlier, they're collets, just dropped straight out. So that was interesting, not had that happen before. I'll try that technique again. So now let's on this one, the valve seat or the spring seat is actually still connected to the inner spring. So that one came straight out, which is very good. On this valve there is some discoloration on the valve itself, but no actual pits that I can see. And let's have a look at the again, the valve seat is pocketed into the head a little bit, so it could do with being machined and unshrouded. The seat itself is quite difficult to see. Oh, there is some sludge build up in the exhaust manifold, but the seat itself, again, sort of a grey colour. I don't know if you can see that. A grey colour. It's quite a long way down in there, and there's no pit marks or anything on it. Okay, so let me go and do the other four, sorry, and I'll be back. Now I'm going to take the last valve out now. So, got tight. There we go, it's now released. Try this tapping trick again. There goes one. Okay, we have the two collets. Again, it's all sealed all the way round. Not the prettiest of seats, but not bad. And again, it's a long way in. Rather than trying to de-shroud it, I think the idea would be to have new seats put in. The issue would be to de-shroud this side. I would actually need to cut into the face of the cylinder head, and that's not a good idea. So at the next time I actually have an opportunity, I will get new valve seats, probably guides as well, of course, fitted. One of the next jobs, of course, will be to clean up the valves, make them shiny again, and then measure the uncompressed spring lengths to ensure they're the same and that they're the right height as per the specifications. I must apologise, there has been quite a considerable delay between filming taking the cylinder head apart and this point in time, I've been in the hospital and such like. So the point where I left everything was considering the pocketing of the valve seats within the head. And I measured it at somewhere between 2 and 3 millimeters, depending whereabouts on the seat you looked and which seat you were looking at. I thought about depocketing the head, but that would create all sorts of issues. So I ended up sending the head off to the cylinder head shop and requested new valve seats and new valve guides to go with those seats, as it seemed a good idea at the time. That was duly done, and the head was returned, and I filmed putting it all back together and getting it ready to put onto the bike. But unfortunately, I seem to have deleted all of those videos. I can only put it down to recovery from the operation, which took a few weeks, and then the chemotherapy, which took some months. The outcome is that we measured all of the valves and springs, and the valve diameters, stem diameters, were all exactly the same and were not worn. So I ended up using the original valves and the original seats, the springs, excuse me, in the head, and the valves were cleaned and polished. I put them in the lathe and used oil and wire wool to actually clean the deposits off, and then Solvol Autosol to actually polish the face of the valves, because that reduces the speed with which the deposits build up. The engine, or the head, was then reassembled. As I've got new valves and seats, I actually just lapped in each valve. I didn't care where they came out, because they weren't going back into the original positions, and put it all together. And then when I assembled the engine, I did a compression test, and with new valves and new pistons and rings and a new rebore, I'm seeing around 135 psi per cylinder on all 3 cylinders. So I was quite pleased about that. And I must apologize again about the delay in putting this video out.